So a while back, I did this kind of like, I was kind of,
All right, hold on, everybody. Hold together. 10 seconds.
So a while back, I was stuck kind of, thinking about the problems with the humanities, with area studies, with the field of history, how the numbers of people interested in this at university level are declining, how not much seems to be done to kind of address that. And I came up for a while, I was like posting stuff to a blog. I called it Content Asian Studies. And the idea, I was kind of influenced by content marketing and this idea that if you want to be, seen as, if you want to be seen, if you want to be seen as important, if you want people to develop a need for what it is that you do, you actually have to be out there in people's lives. And in this day and age, it means you've got to be on the internet. You've got to put content on the internet. And so, I made a series of, videos and things to talk about that. I set up a separate blog on that and a Facebook page on it. And, I needed to get that out of my system, and I got it out of my system. Then afterwards, I came across a book, the title of which I don't think I can really say here, but it was the F-word content. So F-word content. And the gist of it is that, we create all this stuff, we put it on the internet, and ultimately that doesn't matter because then it just means you got all this stuff that's on the internet. What you really need to do is, yes, you need to produce stuff and put it on the internet, but you also need to think about how people are accessing it, why they're accessing it. You need to think about experience. And in particular, it's like what this person argued and what a lot of people argue now is that there's this whole kind of field or world called user experience and user experience research and user experience design, where basically people are trying to figure out how people who are out there are interacting with whatever it is that we are doing or producing. Do they like it? Do they not like it? What is it that they like? What is it that they need? What can you do to make it more, not just attractive, but make the experience of what it is that people are doing more valuable so that they'll actually engage with whatever it is that you're producing or offering or something like that. And, this has made me think a lot about this. Then at the same time, I've suddenly by chance, I became like the web designer for a few things where I never designed a web page before. And starting probably a year or two ago, I had to very quickly learn how to make a web page, which is getting much, much easier these days. Essentially now you can just drag and drop things and create something that's okay. But the ease with which we can make things today is made difficult by the difficulty of the things involved. Man, I am not able to communicate this. Okay. Okay, so basically what I figured out is it's easy to drag and drop things to make a web page, but it's really, really difficult to make something that anyone would actually want to stop and pay attention to, or that they wouldn't look at and just go, oh my God, this is painful. It requires learning about things like visual hierarchy, where to put things, and what do people see first, and what will they see as more important than other information. It requires knowledge of typography and the theory of typography, what typefaces you should use, what typefaces match with others, what size do you use, what do you do for spacing and kerning and all these things. Color theory, a whole nother world of ideas that you have to think about. Then finally, when you start putting words on a web page, you have to think of things like search engine optimization or SEO. You don't just throw words on a web page. You've got to think about what are the things that people are going to be searching for? How can you ensure that the content that you put there has the right kind of keyword phrases in the right places to both convey the information that you want to convey, as well as let Mr. Google, who's out there reading all of our web pages, understand what your web page is about and be able to return it in a result if someone search for the thing that you think they're going to search for, which you also have to research to figure out what it is that people are searching for and what kind of terms they use. So, the more I got into this, the more I realize, just a point that I've been making over and over, which is that communication in the 21st century is totally different than it was before. And while in universities and in our academic worlds, we teach people how to write papers with black ink on white screens now or backgrounds, beyond the world of what we do is a world where people communicate very, very differently and where they have to think about many other things. And so recently what I've tried to do is to incorporate this into my teaching. So, there's a lot of digital tools that are out there, or a lot of digitized materials so that students can now do basically the kind of historical research that they can do it online that before would require going to like a national archive or something like that. And so in classes, I teach people how to use digital archives, how to, search for things, how to build up a research topic, how to find secondary scholarship on that topic. We write up information about that. But then the thing that I'm starting to do now is to get people to express that information in 21st century ways. And to do that, I've started to use FIGMA, which is a kind of a software that's used for a lot by web designers or user experience designers, where you can quickly make up mock-ups of web pages. And what I do is I have people take the sort of the content that they've researched and developed, and then make a web version of that by creating images with text and thinking of all of these different things, from visual hierarchy to typography, color theory, and many other issues. And to me, I think this is something that's I find really, really interesting, and it's really fascinating to see students grappling with this, because it's stuff people never think of. And then you stop and you think about it. Wow, we are educating people in the 21st century, and we're not equipping them with even the kind of the most basic communication skills that they need to be able to communicate online in the 21st century. One more idea. One thing that I find fascinating is the way that technology has democratized the means of communication. If you go back, say, 30 years, if you wanted to record an album, you had to go to a recording studio, which had equipment that cost thousands and thousands of dollars. Whereas today, for a few $100s, you can get software on your computer and a mic that's of good enough quality where you can basically create something of professional, quality. Before, if you wanted to print a book, you had to go to a publisher. Today, using software, you can put together a book that you can print yourself. And the story goes on and on and on and on. So all of this can be done by anyone on any computer for a very, minimal amount of money. And it's very easy to do to a certain extent, but it is incredibly hard to do well. Even though you can have software on your computer that allows you to record, to mix and master, mixing and mastering and recording is still a science that people who, were trained in this take years to learn. And if you want to do it yourself and do it really well, it also takes years to learn. Publishing is something that people spend years learning how to do, and there's a whole science to that. And we have the software that enables us to do it immediately on our computers, but it still requires tons of knowledge and time to learn how to do it well. The problem is that when you give more and more people the technology to do this, more and more people invest the time into being able to do it well, more and more people can do it well, which means that, the rest of us all have to rise up at least to some standards so that whatever it is that we produce can stand alongside the stuff that's being produced by people who have invested the time to get good at it. And so, everything from creating web pages, which you can now do basically by just dragging and dropping. Yes, that's easy, but doing it well is really, really difficult and requires learning about all of these different things. And so, again, the more time that we spend not trying to learn these same things that other people are doing and not teaching our students how to do these things that everyone else is doing, the further we fall behind from the rest of the world, the more kind of out of touch we become with the rest of the world, the less the rest of the world sees any kind of, need for what it is that we do. And so that's why, I just think the only way forward is to embrace all of these opportunities that the democratization that technology has brought us, has given us. And yeah, it takes a lot of work. Yeah, it's difficult, but